There aren't many movies that make you feel happy, and then very sad, and then joyous, and very reminiscent all at the same time, but Soul managed to do that and much more. What's going on, you guys? James here with another Reel review, and I am back after a very long and well-deserved holiday weekend, so I hope you and your loved ones enjoyed it as well. Today we're going to finally talk about Disney Pixar's Soul, which is streaming exclusively on Disney+. It's directed by Docter and Kemp and stars an all-star cast including Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, and the legendary Phylicia Rashad. Now guys, before I tell you what I absolutely loved about this movie, if it's your first time here at the channel, welcome to Reel James. We're about to step into 2021 with a lot of content, a lot of reviews just like this, and guys, it is going to be a ton of fun with some reactions and news to come. So if you don't want to miss out on that, go ahead, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and join me on the journey to 5,000 subscribers. Go ahead and tap the bell and hit that like button, and let me know in the comments below, guys, what did you think of Soul? Did you like it if you watched it over the weekend? Are you excited to watch it, or were you a little let down by the film? Okay guys, so let's get into this film and what Soul is all about. The story centers around Joe Gardner, who's voiced by Jamie Foxx. He's a band teacher with dreams of playing in a jazz band. After going through the motions for years, he finally lands a sweet gig as pianist for the Dorothea Williams Quartet. After a misstep, he finds himself and his soul sent to the Great Before, where he meets 22, who's a lost soul searching for her purpose too. Now they must work together to get Joe back to Earth before he misses out on what he believes is his purpose in life, to play music for a living. Now that description alone is magical, and that leads me to my first point. This movie is Pixar magic through and through. This is just a film that just has you feeling something, and that is something that you can't say for a lot of movies in 2020, but man, I felt joy, sadness, I laughed, I almost cried, and this movie is just honestly very layered. So there are so many moments where I felt myself reflecting on my own life, and not a single moment in this movie felt wasted. And even though the film is about Joe Gardner, I found myself kind of being hit on another level, and what I mean by that is Joe Gardner is a bit of us all, is he not? I mean, for myself, I kind of felt like Joe after getting out of college. I thought I wanted to be a sports broadcaster for the rest of my life, but instead, that wasn't my spark. My spark and my passion is talking about movies each and every day. So I think that's really cool that the movie could hit me like that, and I sort of sat with the film about a few hours before actually recording this review, so I was able to digest exactly the meaning of the film and how it affected me in my life. On a technical level, the animation here is stunning. I mean, of course, it's Pixar. Most Disney Pixar films are going to look beautiful, but I really love that Soul played with realistic animation sometimes, especially when you're in New York City, but when you're in the great beyond with the Souls, the Jerrys, and the Terrys, everything looked a little quirky, which is something you come to expect from a Pixar film. But man, it was amazing. The lighting looked so clean, and I felt like each scene almost was distinct from one another. There wasn't one scene that felt the same as the one before it or after it. So I love the fact that the movie had me questioning sometimes, wait, is this real or animated? I promise you, I knew it was animated, but my mind played a trick on me. Or maybe it was just the excellence of Pixar. So let's move on to the next point, guys, which is this atmosphere. There's an immersive environment that this movie, its directors and writers created, but Soul never clicked for me right away. I thought that in the first act, I would be on board 110%, but for the first 20 minutes or so, my expectations for what Soul was going to be were far different from what the film actually was. I didn't pay attention to the plot beforehand. I didn't know much about the movie at all, outside of maybe a trailer or a teaser. But man, I'm kind of glad that this movie didn't go with exactly what I had anticipated it being. Where the film actually clicked was in the barbershop, which is one of the best scenes of 2020. We get Joe, the cat, and Des, wonderfully voiced by Donald Rawlings, in this barbershop setting, and that's when I became fully aware of what the message was behind Soul. Life is always happening around you, right? You have to kind of stop and think that maybe life is bigger than yourself, so pay attention to everything else. Find joy in things that are maybe outside of your own selfish interest. Yeah, there are many more lessons we can dive into with this film, but that was one lesson I felt like the barbershop scene taught Joe, and that is when the movie really settled in. And from that point on, I was entranced by each scene, the hustle and bustle of New York City, and then even the serenity found in the Great Before. There's just something very special about Soul that it's hard to even talk about, but hopefully I'm doing a decent enough job. Now, let's move into the voice acting, which is something I've come to love about pretty much every Pixar film, even some films I don't like from Pixar, like Inside Out. I found joy in the voice acting there, but here in Soul, man, this cast gels together near perfect in every scene. Jamie Foxx brings so much emotion to this role as Joe Gardner, someone who isn't impressed with his band teaching job at a local school and dreams of playing in a jazz band himself. Jamie Foxx is uber talented. He can perform, he can sing, he can act, he does pretty much everything on the face of this planet. But what I love is that this movie was able to get down to an emotional level probably because Jamie Foxx said, listen, I am like everyone else. I am not going to be this big superstar. I'm just a regular dude who's searching for his spark. And that's what I think made his performance so special. Then there's the lost soul, 22, who's the trusty companion to Joe throughout this film, voiced by Tina Fey, and boy, both of them have such good chemistry together. Tina Fey is hilarious in her own right, but alongside Jamie Foxx, I feel like they just kind of helped the movie not feel as dour as it was going to be if not for their comedic relief. But Tina Fey, even though she is primarily there to make you laugh, there are some scenes that really hit me in the gut. Well, the gut, which is down here. But man, Tina Fey just helps bring the entire message home. Then there's Alice Braga, who leads the Jerrys, which guide the souls in the great before. Her and Richard Ayoade are hilarious. First of all, I love both of them anyway, so putting them together in a Disney Pixar movie was a recipe for success. Then there's Terry, the soul counter, who's voiced by Rachel House. I loved her in this movie. Rachel House not only gets lost in the role, but in the moments that she's given in Soul, she just kind of commands the attention for me, so my eyes just immediately shift to Terry. I think she was not only funny, but she was very impactful. And then the standout for me in this movie was actually Phylicia Rashad as Joe's mother, Libba. One of the most emotional scenes in the entire film involved her and Joe, where Joe goes and confronts his mother and says, listen, Mom, this is my dream. Why is it that every time I try to go and chase my dream, you always have to put me down? And even though their conversation ends on a very sweet note, I feel like I've had that conversation with my mom about my own passion and dreams, and it doesn't go over very well, but I empathized heavy with Joe Gardner in that moment. But it was also Phylicia Rashad who helped bring home that emotion. So man, she is just a standout, and she gives an A+ performance here. And I'm definitely not forgetting about Angela Bassett as Dorothea, who's absolutely aces. She has a moment with Joe outside of the High Note Jazz Club where she kind of breaks down how life could be depending on how you view it. And Joe was taken aback by that conversation, but man, for me, I had to rewind it again and listen to it because man, it just it hit me in a certain way. Now I know I'm gushing about Soul and giving a rave review clearly, but there's one thing that's holding Soul back from being a straight up 5-star film, and that's its accessibility to kids. When it comes to Disney Pixar, usually those movies are always going to be very much for the entire family. It could be for your 80-year-old grandparent, or it could be for your 5-year-old niece or nephew. However, in this film, it touches on very mature tones and the existential question surrounding life. And when you start breaking that down for a kid, they will either fall asleep or they might just get bored and not be able to really attach themselves to the story, because life really is about experiences and sometimes who you share it with. And if you can't really attach yourself to a movie like that because you're so young, and also because you don't have a lot of life experience yet, you might not find too much interest in Soul. Asking a child what is your spark and what is your life's purpose might be too large for them to even hold on to. I do like Soul a lot. It is awesome, but that is the only negative. So overall, you guys, Soul is really a Pixar masterpiece. Now, it is in the top tier alongside films like Up, Toy Story, and even Coco. And when movies explore the question of life and purpose, sometimes it can get heavy-handed, but at no moment did Soul feel heavy-handed. On the contrary, it provided a new perspective for me on not missing out on a single moment in life. It really did feel like the perfect film for 2020. We need a lot more films like this sometimes, and especially in moments like we're in right now. Heading into 2021, this is providing that fresh slate of how you can view your purpose and your spark. Now, this is a movie that I will most definitely rewatch, not only because it is rewatchable, but because there are bits of dialogue that will hit a little harder the second time around. Now, I said it before, but the direction by Pete Docter and Kemp is excellent, and I love that Jamie Foxx leads this cast because, man, each of them just kind of come together to bring the story to life. If you haven't watched Soul yet, guys, give it the time of day on Disney Plus, because not only did this movie dive deep into life and its purpose, but it will encourage you to never take for granted moments big, small, and everything in between. And when movies challenge me like that, they immediately go all the way up the list when it comes to best films of the year, and Soul is definitely living in my top 5. So guys, I want to know what you have to say about the film. Did you love it as much as me? Do you dislike it? Or are you, again, a little disappointed in the movie? Go ahead and get loud in the comments below, smash that like button, and if you haven't already, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and let's go ahead and make 2021 pretty special, guys. We got a lot more coming, a lot of reviews. I'm going to try to catch up with Cobra Kai because I hear that season 3 is dropping January 1st. Well, I got a few days, don't I? Alrighty, guys, well, I'm going to get started on that. And again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.